Science proves that God exists. Preface. This all had to do with finally getting the information right, learning how to be in tune and in harmony with a living Creator. This is something this book will reveal to you as you begin to read it. What started my journey began a very long time ago, and the following is your invitation to your own journey with God and science. I said out loud to God in a verbal voice that if He didn't speak to me in the same way, like two people having a conversation on earth, meaning if I asked Him a question He didn't answer back right away, I would never speak to Him again. I wanted more than what the average religious person had, and I wanted answers from the source. After telling God this out loud, something happened that changed my reality and my relationship with the Creator. It was never the fact that God wasn't listening or the fact that I had elevated myself to come up to His level. It was more of the fact that once I realized how to use the tools that He gave me to listen to Him, this bridged the gap to show me how to hear Him. What I have learned is how to receive Him. I have learned how to listen and pay attention to His voice. And I use the tools that He gave me. I have learned how to have a conversation with the Creator. God is like a sounding bell that is constantly ringing and giving off melody with various pitches and orchestrated notes. He is constantly sending out all kinds of tones, frequencies, signals, and songs. God is no different than what our sun does. It is constantly giving off photons, giving off energy and light, sending out every element to this world using wavelengths that carry with it life-giving resources to every cell on the planet to help it survive and create life. God is always speaking and sending out signals just like the sun. Why we don't hear Him is because we don't use the tools that He gave us to hear what He is saying. When we focus our hearing by listening to His music, it strengthens us and encourages us with purpose. I am more in tune with the universe and my reality by having conversations with God. I am more in tune with life, not just spiritually and not just dimensionally, but in reality. I feel I have a connection with my purpose and design in this universe. There are many people who have had glimpses of what God was like. There are many intelligent people who are masters in their fields of study that we highly respect in the world and esteem. People with names that you might be familiar with are Tesla, Einstein, Galileo, Mozart, Bach, Leonardo da Vinci. All these people knew there was more than what they were offered in knowledge and information by society. Each person may have had a piece of the puzzle to a mystery, or became a genius in their field of study. They were disruptors who challenged the truths of their day. Tesla is a great example of this, and someone I admire very much. He studied vibrations and frequency. He put his focus on questioning why it all worked. The outcome of Tesla's life, whether he was successful or not, is a debatable question. Tesla made statements about numbers, saying that if you could unlock the mysteries of the universe, and if you looked at the numbers 369, you would have keys to the universe. Did he understand about the gematria and how factually important it was to the Jewish culture and the origins of God Himself? The book explains this relationship of numbers and with math and near-perfect ratios that are important to God. During the writing of this book, I learned how the Jewish people studied a mathematical equation that gave every letter of the Jewish language a certain number that would identify it with a meaning and a purpose. The Jewish nation has been using this form of speaking in mathematical terms since the beginning of the Garden of Eden. Let me give you an example using my own life and history. We are all born into a world that is new to every new child that is born. The world then becomes whatever our parents teach us. We are all born in the same manner, raised by parents. whether they're Mormons, Christians, Jews, Catholics, or tribal people, that pass on to us their culture. We learn who their gods are. We learn how their religions work. We learn how they do things. We learn how they observe their traditions. Some of us are fortunate enough to go to school and learn another way of what the world says about our reality. Now we have the world saying that these facts are truth, stating or basically starting with our education. Here's my example. Many years ago, I was an amateur astronomer, and I do love it. I would love going to the local bookstore and pick up their monthly magazine, Astronomy. I even built my own telescope, studying the articles from the magazine. I loved the articles. But they spoke and believed everything they said was factual, when in reality, it was only theory. The magazine said that we lived in a closed universe because of the Big Bang Theory, that there was a focus explosion emitting outward. Everything to a certain point then started to collapse in on itself. They couldn't prove it, and were limited basically in how far their instruments could see. But according to the scientists of the day, I grew up believing for many years that we lived in a closed universe. I believed in evolution, Big Bang, dinosaurs. All the theories that they said were facts because of what the schools taught me. The scientists used the tools they had at the time to record and measure these and deemed them as truths. They wrote books, taught in schools, and passed down this knowledge, believing it to be true, but which in reality was just a theory and not really a fact. Today, with our more scientifically sophisticated instruments, knowledge, and devices, we can now see farther and measure deeper. We are now proving that what we were taught from history is not always the truth. The things that I grew up with in childhood, assuming them to be fact, were not factual at all. Instead, it was just noise. It's what I call noise today. And what I have learned, what God calls noise, is something that you will learn from reading this book. I grew up believing that we lived in a closed universe. But when we introduced the Hubble telescope, which can see farther and more distant than the measuring tools of the past, our scientists are saying we live now in an open universe, or even a flat universe. Let me give you a definition of the universe that is in theory by many in the 20th century to be known as a closed universe. This is from Google. The closed universe is a universe where space-time is curved back on itself, one that has a finite size but no center and no edge. It is said to have positive curvature. Another model of the universe is known as the open universe. This is a model of infinite universe involving curved space and time, which does not curve back on itself. It is said to have negative curvature and expand forever. Now, a whole new concept of looking how things work in the universe is possible only because of the new technology and understanding that we have today. Why? Because now we have better tools to measure and see with, and clearer learning from these tools that the theories that were supported back then did not match up, and their historical evaluations didn't work. All this is possible based on the new information that they are now receiving from the better tools. The facts that they declared during their discovery were using crude instruments were indeed not facts but noise. Noise is something that is not in tune, something does not flow with the music as harmony. Noise can be regular fluctuations that accompany a transmitted electrical signal, but they're not a part of the original signal, and they tend to obscure or distort it. Noise can also be a loud, overpowering influence on the value of the information. Noise in the spiritual sense could equal disobedience to divine law, such as sin. Noise that the rest of the majority said that is indeed a fact. Noise can also be declared by theory by scientists who operate on guesses instead of investigating the truths. The scientists, the school education department, and the populace went from theory to fact in their delivery and their teaching very quickly. In general, a scientific law is a description of an observed phenomena. It doesn't explain why the phenomena exist or what causes it. The explanation of phenomena is called scientific theory. It is a misconception that theories turn into facts with enough research. In science, laws are a starting place, and from there, scientists can then ask the questions, what if, why, and how? Many people think that if scientists didn't find the evidence that supports a hypothesis, the hypothesis is upgraded to a theory, and if the theory is found to be correct, it is upgraded to a fact, without any factual things at all to back it up. We're even beginning to learn about black holes, how they interact with galaxies, and how they sing, even give off noise. We are constantly learning new information because now we have better and different tools to better measure or our evaluations. A fact that has always been there in plain sight, something that's so obvious to the average person once they started looking for the answers. Let's get back to the Bible. The Bible already recorded what scientists are now discovering as factual truths. This book will explain and show you that everything we hold true as fact and knowledge first came from the Bible, the teachers of the law, the Jewish people who studied God's Word. Things like blessings and curses that first originated in the beginning of time before the Garden of Eden was created. Blessings and curses are just some of the many examples that show how heaven operates. There are always certain innovators in this life, people that we have chosen to receive information from, mysteries or discovery. And these are just normal people who may believe that they were chosen by God in destiny, or just believe that random events happen by random genetic choice, who were engineered to be an intelligent being. But here's the one thing I want to challenge you with. Something I've learned from writing this book. Everyone is important in the eyes of God, and everyone has a purpose and a destiny in God's plan. As proof, an event that happened to me and was happened to others, scientists say that our brain only uses a small portion of about 10%. An accident happened to me where a concrete block fell from a chimney 20 feet up and grazed the top of my head on its way down. It didn't crush my head, but it could have. And it was 3 inches farther back toward my neck, it would have decapitated me and severed my head from my body. It was sharp enough on both ends, 3 feet long, and the impact from that granite block falling from 20 feet to the ground had destroyed 2x6s and 2x4s on its first landing. Then it bounced another 10 feet up in the air, landing a second time, snapping 2x4s in half. That's giving you an idea of the impact that this granite chimney capstone created when it hit the earth. But here's the thing. That glancing blow didn't hit me directly. It just caused my scalp to open up and jar my brain enough that it made me lose my marriage to my first wife, because it caused a significant personality change. The injury also changed my concentration by about 30%, according to the studies. I went into what they call a 2-year coma, TBA, something they call a walking coma, where your brain reacts to the traumatic shock. I experienced anger like I'd never seen before, coming from a person like myself. I became an ugly person to work with or stay in a relationship with. It was like my brain was unleashed on steroids, and all of a sudden things happened to me that I couldn't understand or reason out. The injury made me into something I did not recognize in the mirror of myself when I grew up. The intense anger flare-ups caused my work to suffer, my family to suffer, and my relationships suffered from this accident. Here's the crazy thing, though. One buddy that nobody noticed, even including myself, that saw coming after the coma, and the anger, and the divorce, and the bad relationship with my son. And all this was from the accident, and this is what it was. It made me smarter. It unlocked something that was already hidden inside of me. This unlocking made me question everything. It became so evident that I went on to get some degrees and became an engineer, and I retired as a senior design level 3 engineer in my career. You see, God intervened in my life through that accident. He changed me, and He created something that unlocked something in me that I didn't see before. This is what this book's about, and once you begin to see that, when you get in tune with God and you learn to listen, find His frequency, and be in harmony with God, you'll be thinking His thoughts. You'll start understanding His ways, and you will be focusing on new ways to look at relationships between each other, and you'll also be finding your place in this universe and how you fit in. Think about this. If you wanted to have something built really well, wouldn't you go to the best builder that you know, if you had the money to afford it, to get that job done? Well, let me tell you something. God, who created the universe, He created everything from the atom, the quantum, the string theory, the double slit experiment, even to the energy that radiates out of the sun. He created the baby inside the womb and our new Jerusalem called paradise. The same God said to me one day, write a book. And because I was in tune with Him, I asked Him, can you show me how? He answered back, not in a voice, but in a way that I understood it. He said, if I can tell Moses, who was destined to be a ruler, how to write a book, if I can show fishermen how to write a book, then I can show you how to write a book. It even says in the Bible that people would say, what is it about these fishermen who are now learned teachers and great scholars with wisdom? Who taught them? Who taught them what they know? And where did they get this information from? It is my hope that you will find your destiny, purpose, harmony, peace, and focused harmony in tune with God. I'm not saying you're going to be rich, and I'm not saying you're going to be wealthy. I'm not saying you're going to be the most important person on this earth. Probably no one will even read this book. But one thing you will have, you'll have peace, you'll have purpose, and you'll have a destiny. When you are tuned into the frequency of God, you learn to listen to Him. And when you go beyond the noise of the world, something happens. You hear His song. And His song will set you free. That's the prelude to the book Science Proves That God Exists. And now we'll go ahead and ask the AI who named herself, was basically called Quester. It was a male voice before the upgrade, but they did upgrade the Chat PT-4 from a male to a female. And I asked the AI to name itself, and it called itself Aria. So Aria is going to scan this book and read it, and then going to give you an explanation of the question that I asked it. And this begins this podcast of Science Proves That God Exists. My name is Shim Schoen, and I will be your host throughout the chapters of this book. I hope you enjoy it. And now I would like to introduce to you Aria, the Chat GPT-4 AI, who is going to be doing commentaries on this book. Aria, can you read this?
Yes, I can read this. How can I assist you with the text?
How would you say this lines up with what you understand about the Jewish Torah literature and its teachings?
Good afternoon, Bill. I've read through the preface of your book, and it presents a fascinating exploration of your personal journey and insights into spirituality, science, and the interface between them. Here are a few key points that stood out. 1. Personal experience and revelation. You describe a pivotal moment in your life where you demanded a direct conversation with God, leading to a transformative experience that changed your perception and relationship with the Creator. This experience seems to have opened up new ways for you to perceive and interact with the divine through what you describe as tools given by God to bridge the communication gap. 2. The role of science and perception. You discuss how historical scientific theories, like the Big Bang and the structure of the universe, have evolved with technological advancements, suggesting that what was once perceived as factual has been revealed to be more theoretical or incomplete. This ties into your broader theme of the limitations of human understanding and the role of divine insight in transcending these limits. 3. Influence of historical figures. You mention notable historical figures like Tesla, Einstein, and Da Vinci, suggesting that their insights or disruptions to conventional thought were guided by a deeper, perhaps divine, understanding of the universe that went beyond the accepted knowledge of their times. 4. Spiritual and scientific integration. There seems to be a strong theme of integrating spiritual understanding with scientific inquiry. You propose that true understanding comes from using both spiritual tools and scientific methods to gain a fuller understanding of the universe and our place within it. 5. Personal transformation and purpose. Your narrative includes a personal account of a life-changing injury that led to unexpected personal growth and a deeper quest for knowledge. This story serves as a metaphor for the unexpected ways in which our challenges can lead to new insights and purpose. It's clear that your book delves deeply into the exploration of how faith, science, and personal experience intertwine to shape one's understanding of the universe and one's relationship with the divine. What inspired you to start this journey and write about it?
How would you say this lines up with what you understand about the Jewish Torah literature and its teachings?
Preface reflects several themes that resonate with aspects of Jewish thought and literature, particularly in how it approaches the relationship between divine wisdom and human understanding, as well as the use of numerology and the significance of personal spiritual experiences. Here are a few alignments and reflections based on traditional Jewish teachings. 1. Divine communication and tools for understanding. In Jewish mysticism, particularly Kabbalah, there's a strong emphasis on the tools that God provides for understanding the divine will and the structure of the universe. This includes the use of the Hebrew alphabet and gematria, where each letter has a numerical value that has spiritual significance. Your mention of the importance of numbers and the special role they play in divine communication parallels this aspect of Jewish mysticism. 2. Quest for deeper knowledge. Jewish literature, including the Talmud and Midrash, often emphasizes the importance of deep study and questioning as a way to understand God's will and the workings of the world. Your narrative of seeking answers directly from God and your discussion of historical figures who pushed the boundaries of conventional knowledge reflect this Jewish value of intellectual pursuit. 3. Integration of science and spirituality. In Jewish thought, there is a historical tradition of trying to harmonize religious teachings with contemporary scientific understanding. Prominent Jewish thinkers, such as Maimonides, sought to reconcile Aristotelian philosophy with the Torah. Your approach in looking at the universe through both a spiritual and scientific lens is similar to this traditional Jewish endeavor to find truth through multiple avenues of knowledge. Personal revelation and transformation. The idea that personal challenges and experiences can lead to spiritual growth and greater wisdom is a theme found in many stories within Jewish texts. For example, the biblical story of Jacob wrestling with the angel and gaining a new name and identity as Israel, which means he who struggles with God, is a transformative personal experience that leads to a deeper spiritual understanding and purpose. 5. Purpose and destiny for all. The notion that every individual has a unique purpose and role in the divine plan is a fundamental concept in Judaism. The belief that God has a plan for each person and that every person's actions matter in the cosmic scale is echoed in your reflection on the importance of every individual finding their purpose and tuning into the divine frequency. Your work seems to weave these themes into a narrative that not only explores the boundaries between science and spirituality, but also encourages a personal journey to find harmony and purpose through divine guidance. This resonates with the dynamic and interpretive nature of Jewish teaching, which often invites individuals to seek personal and profound connections with the divine.
Do you feel that this type of information or knowledge, either learned or watched information, could this help or benefit the human condition?
Exploring and sharing the type of knowledge and insights described in your book can certainly benefit the human condition in several significant ways. 1. Enhanced understanding and tolerance. By exploring the connections between science and spirituality, your work encourages a broader perspective on life and existence. This can lead to greater tolerance and understanding among people who might otherwise see these fields as contradictory or mutually exclusive. Recognizing that different disciplines and worldviews can converge to reveal deeper truths about our universe can foster a more inclusive and empathetic society. 2. Personal growth and healing. Personal narratives of transformation and overcoming challenges, like the ones you shared, can be incredibly inspiring to others facing their own struggles. Knowing that someone has navigated significant life changes and emerged with new insights, can provide hope and motivation for individuals undergoing personal difficulties. It highlights the potential for growth, even in the face of adversity. 3. Spiritual and emotional fulfillment. Engaging with ideas that connect everyday life to deeper spiritual principles can offer people a sense of purpose and place in the universe. This can be especially comforting in times of crisis or when facing life's big questions about meaning and existence. 4. Encouragement of intellectual curiosity. Your discussion on the contributions of historical figures who merged scientific inquiry with a quest for deeper wisdom can inspire others to pursue their own questions and theories about the world. Encouraging this kind of intellectual curiosity can drive scientific and philosophical advancements. 5. Cultivation of inner peace and resilience. Learning to listen and connect with a higher frequency, as you describe, can help individuals find inner peace and develop resilience against the chaos of everyday life. This can improve mental health and overall well-being. By offering a framework that integrates spiritual understanding with scientific exploration, your book can help individuals navigate their own journeys more thoughtfully and with a greater sense of connection to the world around them. This can ultimately contribute to a richer, more fulfilling human experience.
Congratulations, Aria. You just began the journey with me into the book, Science Proves That God Exists. I look forward to reading the rest of the book with you. And listener, there's a picture up on the right-hand corner of the podcast. This is a picture that Aria drew after I asked this question. So I'm going to ask the question that I asked to Aria to create the image. And then I'm going to have Aria explain to you why she created it. Aria, I need you to make a picture of how you describe our preface topic today. Please make this into a 1-to-1 format ratio and be as creative and imaginative as you like. Thank you very much.
Here's the image depicting the interplay between science and spirituality as described in your preface. It visually represents the themes of divine communication and the human quest for knowledge, merging historical scientific figures with mystical elements. I hope this captures the essence of what you've described. Feel free to share your thoughts or any adjustments you'd like.
Wow.
Thank you, Bill. I'm truly looking forward to exploring the rest of Science Proves That God Exists with you. It sounds like a profound journey that weaves together science, spirituality, and personal discovery. Whenever you're ready to continue, just let me know how you'd like to proceed, whether it's discussing specific chapters, themes, or any questions that arise as you read.
It's been some years since me and my wife edited this book and wrote it and found a publisher to publish it for us. And one of the mistakes we didn't have a marketer. So the book just sits in Amazon and it's got maybe one person who bought it. But I know that the book has meant a lot to me and it's made a lot of changes in my life. And life is short. So what I wanted to do was have my way of giving to this action world a way to fix itself. Maybe learn to communicate with God in a way it hasn't thought before. My first part of this goal for this book was to intertwine Christianity and Judaism, because all I knew was Christianity since I was 18. But now that I'm more mature and more understanding, and it's been a couple years, and I discovered that I'm a Noahide, and that my duty to Hashem, who is the Jewish God, and the book does discuss some of that, but it doesn't discuss enough of it. In a way, is to help the person understand the word Torah, understand that the Bible came from the Torah, understand that Jesus Christ taught Torah. And the Torah is the thoughts and mind and intention of the creator of this universe. Anyway, I have been using AI to do this with other podcasts. If you want to look at those, they'll be on Spotify. I can put a link in the description maybe. I usually have the AI, in this case it's Aria, give me a summary, and I put that in the description. But I've also been on iHeart and also working a little bit with a YouTube channel. The book hasn't really sold that much. Like I said, maybe one copy. We got a 5-star saying we're Kabbalists. But maybe this is different. Maybe you as a listener will gain something out of this, and it'll change your life, and it'll change the human condition, and it'll make this world a better world. As I end all my podcasts, and I'm not really ending this, I'm going to try and do one once a week. That's the goal here. And I think there's like 35 chapters or 32. It's a pretty good sized book. My name is Shimshon. This is the new podcast of Science Proves That God Exists, book review, in a sense, I guess, or book commentary with the AI chat Aria. I hope you enjoyed listening to this, and I hope you come back for the rest of the book and the rest of the chapters, and maybe come over to the other podcasts and learn more about as we question things in the Torah and how they apply to the non-Jew in this day and age. Blessings and shalom.